How is this possible? Guess what? I'll never figure out how Lane Kiffin, who has never won a conference title, is the hottest guy ever. You knew what they were before, so you can't be surprised when they do what they do. And next thing you know, Lane Kiffin's sorry is doing what Lane Kiffin often does. He's soulless. This is a business. Anybody that expected anything else, gotcha. I live to be 172 years old, I hope. I'm doing a lot of stretching. Guess what? I'll never figure out how Lane Kiffin, who has never won a conference title, not one conference championship, is the hottest guy ever, who got left on a tarmac, is the hottest guy ever, who completely bamboozled the Oakland Raiders, is the hottest guy ever, who is a complete soulless human being, is the hottest guy in football. How is this possible? Somebody explain this to me. You can't. It's impossible. Look, when Florida took Urban Meyer from Utah, Utah was like number 3 in the country. Had there been a playoff, they would have been in it. They were undefeated. Lane Kiffin had one good year in his entire career in football. He somehow, some way is the golden child, and I am here for it. Is it because he wears a hoodie? Is it because he talks about hot yoga, God? Look, I don't know, but I know that dude is soulless. There is no soul inside that man. None. Zero. Zip. Nada. If you play for Lane Kiffin, you best understand one thing. This is a business. If Lane Kiffin ever talks to you about loyalty, if Lane Kiffin talks to you about anything but making money, getting yours, and getting ahead, and you are a player, giggle. Don't laugh. Giggle. Just kind of giggle and go, okay, coach, right? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Look, you want Nick Saban? You want Urban Meyer? Hell yes. You want Nick effing Saban? Yes. You want who? Lane Kiffin? No. How did this happen? Okay, hot daughter, great. Hot ex-wife, maybe back with his wife. Soulless in that area too, by the way. But anyway, this whole thing is beautiful. If anything illustrates the beauty of NIL era, players era, it is this. Everybody's getting fat, no matter what your accomplishments are. Yeah, he had a great year. He struck while the iron's hot. No one's mad at him. But as one of my former players texts me, he goes, Coach, what's the goal? The goal is to make money and win a championship. He's doing that right here. Why is he leaving? My thought is it's easier to win a championship at LSU. But buyer beware. Beware. You know, it's like this. People are surprised. Well, I can't believe Kiffin did this. Really? It's biblical. When you get in bed with a snake, that snake is going to bite you. I've told you this. I have an unbelievably successful group of friends. I let 2 snakes in my life just for shits and giggles. One was Greg Doyle, the writer. You know, he wanted to get him, and I knew he was a dirtbag. Turns out he was a dirtbag. Shocker. And the other was Calvin Sampson. When I left, I wanted to go see how the other side lived. I joined Sampson's staff 2 minutes in. I'm like, this was a mistake. These guys are bigger dirtbags than I thought. Only 2 people. You knew what they were before, so you can't be surprised when they do what they do, which is act like complete douchebags. You can't be. But people are acting like shocked. I can't believe Kiffin did this. I can't believe Mississippi didn't know he was going to do that. And Keith Carter, the AD, hires this weird-looking freaking defensive coordinator. Ain't going to do shit. They kept the team together, the staff together, good maneuvering. Kiffin's already off to a Brian Kelly-like start in Louisiana. He is. Anyway, all right, let's go through it. Let's start at the conclusion of the Egg Bowl, where Lane Kiffin confronted an Ole Miss reporter after earlier in the week he said can't turn a hoe into a housewife. Hoes don't act right. This little pussy needed his ass beat. This is like Frank Kaminsky. All right, we're going to show this to you, but hold on. See, back in the day at the NBA Finals, Frank Kaminsky, who I believe was on Phoenix, punked out when he had an opportunity to defend a teammate. Remember Frank Kaminsky, the big stupid from Wisconsin? Well, he was scared to death of Jimmy Butler. He had a chance to confront Jimmy Butler to protect a teammate in a fight. He backed off. Next day, he's on Dan Patrick's and others talking about why, because Jimmy Butler, we have the same age. No, Frank Kaminsky proved himself to be a coward when it really came down to it and tried to talk his way out. That's what this little douchebag reporter is doing as well. Here's Lane Kiffin confronting little douchebag reporter who called him a ho-ho.
I shouldn't defend it. So you want to walk in here and call me a hoe? We'll see how it goes.
The little douchebag reporter had nothing to say. Kiffin should not have done that because you're giving oxygen to a little douchebag reporter. But then after, of course, the little douchebag reporter went on, I wasn't afraid, blah, 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 blah. Douchebag always going to douchebag. Screw that, fast forward. Fast forward, and Kiffin now apparently set. He's set. He thinks he's going to take the J-O-double-B at LSU and threatened Ole Miss, listen to this, with poaching the team staff if they didn't let him coach out the rest of the CFB, College Football Playoff, CFP, with the Rebels. So you don't let me coach, I'm taking our staff and our players. Really? Here's Trey. Trey's all over this. Can't wait to talk to him. The thing has gotten so out of control in Oxford with a number of Ole Miss assistants pretty much having to deal with a critical decision regarding their futures. Kiffin said he'd take a bunch of staff if not allowed to coach a college football playoff, and it's happening as of now. Well, you can't let Kiffin run two teams in the same league. You could do and let Urban Meyer coach Florida when you're at Utah, not the same league. You can't let Kiffin have control of your recruits while you're dealing with one and trying to get the other. Oh, stop it. It's stupid. Under no circumstances should Kiffin have been allowed to coach the Rebels. Reasonable minds know it. Now, people are blaming Herb Street and others at ESPN for saying he should. And they're saying they're all in bed with the agency, CAA, the agency CAA, and Jimmy Saxon. I don't believe that with Herbie. I'll defend Herbie. You can kiss my ass with that. Herbie is a man of his own opinions. Herbie has always had his own opinions. He doesn't need to defend nothing. Nothing. Zero. His opinion, Kiffin should have stayed and coached. My opinion, hell no. Oh, hell. There was one time I actually had two jobs in college basketball, West Virginia and Bowling Green. True story. I was a coach at Bowling Green, but I told him I want to get the hell out of here, go back to, I was a coach at West Virginia. I told him I want to get the hell out of here, go back to Bowling Green. Bowling Green AD said, let's go, but you got to give me an answer in about 48 hours. I said, that's cool. What are you going to do? All right. He takes the job. He's going to get on a plane. I think Charlie Weiss Jr., the offensive coordinator, who, as a typical Weiss, always makes money. Anyway, they're boarding a plane. And guess what? Mississippi fans know where the airport is, damn it. And they let Kiffin have it. Here it is. Here's the reaction to Lane Kiffin getting on a plane. They're not happy. Well, there you go. Isn't this a little reminiscent of Kiffin leaving Tennessee? What is it about Kiffin that makes his jilted lovers so crazy? You know, back in college, I had a jilted lover write me an 8-page note side by side by side. I wish I'd have kept it. But anyway, I have that kind of appeal with women. I understand, but certainly not with jobs. What is it about Kiffin? He goes from being called a con man by Al Davis to getting great jobs to leaving Tennessee and people are firebombing. Then he goes to USC where he gets left on a tarmac, cleansed by Nick Saban. Next thing you know, wins a little bit of Florida Atlantic. He's back in business at Ole Miss. They save his career, and people go nuts when he leaves. Hey, here's your hat. What's your hurry? Don't let the door hit you in the ass. Those are old-time sayings. Now with Kiffin, man, people get pissed. All right, here we go. It appears Ole Miss, they're moving on as soon as possible. But someone decided his clothes could not even remain in the building. Now, I don't know whether this is Kiffin pulling his stuff out or him pulling his stuff out or the university putting his stuff out. I don't know. But I know this. This is a pretty funny picture. Now, one thing I learned, and this is what I learned when I was interim coach at Indiana, I went through firings of Bob Knight and stuff. What's being reported isn't 100% true. It looks a certain way, and this certainly looks like hey, get out of here. Get your stuff out of here. I don't know, but I think it's pretty funny. I do. If Lane and a huge chunk of the staff, which it appears it hasn't, leave with him immediately, how does this affect Ole Miss's bowl seeding? It wasn't long ago, remember, that Florida State, man, they left out. They were left out because Jordan Travis, the quarterback, got hurt, and the backup wasn't any good. They got left out in its entirety. See, Keith Carter, the athletic director, was smart. He just got this solved in one day. He made this gold ring guy, Goldberg, whatever the hell his name is, the wacky-looking Rex Ryan's brother, defensive coordinator with the long hair. He made him the head coach. It calmed it down. Most of the coaches stayed. In fact, one player said, hey, man, only guy that went on that plane with Kiffin was his brother. All right. We'll talk to Trey about all that. But I got to tell you, pretty shrewd move by Keith Carter. He had a plan. Kiffin exit, Goldberg, gold ring, whatever the hell his name is in. Coaches are staying. And let's get on with the business of being in the playoffs. Even if there is internal turmoil like we've never seen, externally it looks pretty good. So in answering the question about Mississippi being in the playoff, I do think it'll affect their seeding. I do not think they will be left out. Should they be? Don't think so. And I don't care about the players, not even a little, because the players don't care about anything other than themselves. The days of poor player, the days of, hey, I feel bad for these players is over. Read the price, Armin Contagion. Players walking into coaches' offices night before a game, I ain't playing unless you give me some more jack. Happened in Indiana with Indiana basketball with Mike Woodson and some clown named Jalen Hood-Schifino. He needed $100,000 more. Who the hell knows why? But Woodson, the coach, went and got it. Now, he threw 36 up at Purdue. He became a legend. God bless you. Got a little return on your investment. But the idea stands. Players, my ass. NIL, unlimited transfer, money out the yang, agents, threatening coaches. Screw the players. Play, don't play. Up to you. But I ain't whining, bitching, moaning, and crying. Not even a little bit. Not even sort of. Anyway, they're going to play. They're going to be in. And they calmed it. Keith Carter did one thing right. And that's get the waters calm by hiring the defensive coordinator, the wacky defensive coordinator. Look, he's all wacky. He's got the long hair and the beard, and he's crazy. It ain't going to end up well for him, wins and losses. It's going to end up well for him in terms of money, and he gets to be an SEC head coach. 3 years, he gone. Sharon Moore's on that way as well. Meanwhile, Kiffin's decision cleared the way for schools to make their own hire. Let's go through it. Florida, hiring Tulane's John Sumrall. Auburn, hiring USF's Alec Golish. And Arkansas pivots to Ryan Silverfield. You're hoping, man. These hires seem like the exact hire that they hired before. Florida, what's the difference between that guy and Billy Napier? Yeah, I don't know. Auburn, yeah, I don't know. Good for Alex Golish. And then, of course, Arkansas hired a guy. Yeah. It's okay. It's all right. You're hoping one of them turns into Kirk Cignetti. You are. I don't see it, but that's what you're hoping. So we raise a glass while we lift the cheek. It's the rare salute with a cheek lifting to you, Lane Kiffin. You did what Lane Kiffin does. And anybody that expected anything else, gotcha. Hey, this episode is brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. It's the holiday season, the best time of year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. Hey, it is all happening at one time. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which games to watch, there's a good place where it feels good to be right. There's one place, that's Prize Picks. It's simple to play. Pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code DAKICH. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineups. That's code DAKICH. Get 50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Nobody has been on the Lane Kiffin story more so than our good friend Trey Wallace from OutKick. Trey's got no sleep, but you know what? That's what Warriors do, baby. You think they slept when they were fighting for whatever? No. Anyway, Trey, thanks. I don't know what I'm saying.
Me either, buddy. It's all good.
In your mind, I'm seeing little girls say, well, I got this one little girl that's a USA Today writer said, you can't paint Lane Kiffin as a bad guy if he wasn't allowed to speak to Ole Miss's players. Wait, who's a good guy? Who's a bad guy in this, Trey?
Look, man, I think it's, I don't want to say down the middle here. I think Lane Kiffin put himself in a bad spot. Like, I think, okay, here's the gist of things. Lane Kiffin agreed verbally to be the head coach at LSU about 9 days ago. This thing lasted as long as it did because Lane Kiffin thought he was going to talk his way into coaching in the college football playoff with Ole Miss. That's it. That's the only reason. They sat around and waited on Saturday night because the Iron Bowl was going on and there was an outside shot that Ole Miss could make the SEC championship. It would have made things a little bit complicated. Would they have allowed Lane to coach in Atlanta this upcoming Saturday? I think so, but that would have been it, according to sources that I spoke with. I think it got to a point Saturday night where he was meeting with the chancellor and the athletic director, where he just continued to try to push this out, that I was the right man for the job. Let me lead this squad. Please let me coach the playoff. And at the same time, this is where I give credit to Ole Miss's athletic director. At the same time, he was in the background locking up assistant coaches to new deals, knowing that Lane was about to try to take all these assistants with him to LSU. So really how it played out in Sunday morning was bonkers. I mean, you had Lane Kiffin out here talking to his offensive staff saying, hey, guys, look, I'm going to be leaving. If you want job security, you better come with me because you don't know what's going to happen when I'm gone. And here, the other thing that made this fascinating is Keith Carter, the AD at Ole Miss, behind the scenes, Dan, was already putting the wheels in motion to make Pete Golding the permanent head coach. So everything Lane was doing on the side to try to freak out all the assistants, they were going to be fine. So I think there was a total of 4, assistant coaches. They're going to try to get Charlie Weiss Jr. back. He hasn't signed anything with LSU yet to be the OC. And so what I'm getting at, man, this whole thing, I've covered a lot of things in college football, a lot of stories, broken some stories. But this one right here was one of the wackiest, stupidest things I've seen in a while. And it really, it all culminated on Friday in Starkville. I watched Lane Kiffin start walking to the locker room, turn around, then go after a reporter for supposedly calling him a hoe, which if you really understood the lyrics to it, really wasn't calling him a hoe. He was saying, hey, man, you don't commit to the school. The school's waiting on this verbal commit. So it's just, man, it was a wild scene. And I'm telling you, man, I don't know how it's going to be capped off besides this press conference that's going to happen at 4:30 Eastern on Monday.
I got to tell you, I thought Carter mishandled this from the outside early.
Okay.
But I think Carter handled this beautifully from the inside, getting this basically okay. Here's how it looks from the outside. You're on the inside. I'm on the outside. If I'm on that committee, I've got to dig deeper. But I also see we've moved on. The ship it's smooth, whether it is or isn't. That's the perception by having Golding as the coach, and guys signed to contracts. Pretty good move by Carter, no?
Yes, good move by Carter, because behind the scenes, he was not buying the nonsense that Kiffin was trying to put out there. When they made that statement on that Friday, and they were saying, hey, look, we're gonna retalk this. We're going to expect a decision on Saturday. At the same time, Keith Carter was already launching his own coaching search behind the scenes. He was trying to nail some things down. John Summerall, the Tulane coach, ended up going from New Orleans, but he spurned Auburn at the last minute to go to Florida. He was not going to follow in Lane Kiffin's footsteps at Ole Miss. That wasn't going to happen. So it got to a point where they thought, okay, is it going to be Joe Judge as the interim, former Giants coach, coordinator, or are we going to let Pete Golding do this thing? And they just decided they're going to let Pete do it. And I think it's a smart move because you keep defensive guys there, you keep offensive guys there. And the main thing is the main thing here, Dan. They got a CFP run coming up in 19 days that they have an opportunity to win a national championship. And I think looking at it, I don't agree with you from a perception standpoint from Keith's part, but they just had to get through that Egg Bowl on Friday. And once they got through that, even though Kiffin was trying stuff legally through his contract to make sure that he could stay for the CFP and trying to find little ins and outs in that contract with the help of Jimmy Sexton and the whole College Game Day crew, besides Pat McAfee, just going on a crusade of why that he should be able to coach, which, by the way, I'm not trying to be rude here, but that was the most embarrassing thing I have seen the entire weekend. And I talked to multiple agents and ADs about this, and the best way to kind of sum it up would be, it was told to me this: if Nick Saban was the coach at Alabama and LSU came to him with an offer before Alabama was about to start the playoff, do you think the Alabama athletic department would have let Nick Saban hang around there knowing he's going to Baton Rouge? No. So why are we doing this nonsense? So I've seen some things that was just embarrassing on Saturday.
Yeah, one of the things that Nick Saban did he not? Did Nick Saban not fire Kiffin when he took the FAU job in the middle of a run? Didn't Saban? So, well, let me ask you, because I got it right here. Here's CAA, the agency. They are trying to put it out, and they got a list of all the same texts or tweets that people put out. How much do you legitimately think Jimmy Sexton and CAA was involved in the ESPN messaging?
50%, 60%. I think that I'm not trying to put that. Look, those guys do a really, really good job. Kirk Herbstreit, Nick Saban, Pat McAfee came out and was against it. Stay at Ole Miss. But I do think that there are times where, hey, can you push this narrative or something along that? And you know what, Dan? If you came to me one day and said, hey, bro, look, I've got something coming out. I really need you to push it. I'd be like, you know what, Dan, you're my boy. Sure, I'll help you out. I'll push a little bit of narrative for you. That's fine. But at the same time, what happened Saturday was just a little bit overdrawn. And I think that they could have maybe handled it a little bit better. And that's okay. But Keith Carter, the AD at Ole Miss, was never backing down from his standpoint. Lane Kiffin's ass was not going to be on the sideline when the college football playoff started, because what it does is we're already going to talk about this for 19 days about can Ole Miss win a title without Lane Kiffin. What would that conversation have been like if can we win a national championship with a coach who's also going to be dipping out right after this run's over? It's just sometimes you have to look at things and say, does it make sense or does it make sense? Keith Carter made sense.
This seems like yesterday to me, but 1989, honest to God, Bill Frieder right before the NCAA tournament, took the Arizona State job and said, I'm coaching Michigan. Bo Schembechler, the AD, said, you ain't coaching Michigan. You're not the Michigan coach. You're the Arizona State coach. He hired Steve Fisher. They won a national championship. So first thing I thought, you don't let the guy coach, and particularly like people say Urban Meyer, but Urban Meyer was in a completely different league. He was in Utah. You don't let a guy have two jobs in the same conference. That's asinine to me. That's silly to me.
And people wanted to throw out the argument that Florida was going to allow Tulane's John Summerall to coach in their title game and then coach them through the playoffs if that were the case, and they would have went on set. It's a completely different scenario. We're talking about Tulane here, and that's no disrespect to Tulane, but there's a massive difference between the Green Wave and the Ole Miss Rebels and where each coach is going to. Sorry, period. So I just think the national narrative was just out of touch, man. He was not going to be allowed to be a walking billboard for LSU for potentially a month and a half. Point blank, period. That's it. End of story.
Right. And again, all right, let me ask you this. This is who Lane Kiffin's career. Like Al Davis said he was a con man. Then whatever he does, he ends up at Tennessee. Everybody's rioting when he leaves. He goes from rioting to we're going to fire you on a tarmac, cleansed, back. Look, with all due respect to Keith Carter and everybody, you can't be mad because this is what Lane Kiffin is. I had one major college football coach yesterday tell me, Dan, the dude is soulless. He was soulless with his wife and family. He has no soul. We're all competitive. We're all crazy, but he has no soul. Mississippi had to know this was inevitable, no?
They did. And they also, at the same time, a lot of folks are forgetting this. I'm not talking about you here. 3.5 years ago, he was gone to Auburn. He was gone. And he'd have been on the job for 2.5 years at that time. Like all it needed to do, he had already signed technically an MOU. He just needed to sign the physical contract. He was gone. If it wasn't for his daughter penning some letter or whatnot, he would have stayed. Look, there two things can be true at the same time, Dan. Yes, I think Lane Kiffin was a change man from a mental standpoint and from this is how I'm going about my life. You look at him, he's sober now. It's been 5 years he's sober. He's really taken up on the yoga thing and keeping his health in check. And for that part, I give him so much credit. I do. As somebody that, has been in a spot where you got to get yourself healthy in certain areas, I appreciate it. But here's the thing. Somebody at Ole Miss was telling me this yesterday. At the same time, you don't change the person who you are deep down because you see everything on social media. You see how he interacts with folks. This is who he is. He is a WWE performer. And I think I told you this last week or the week before. There's a difference between real life Lane Kiffin and football Lane Kiffin. And what you've seen over the last 3 to 4 weeks have been football Lane Kiffin. So, we can give him a lot of credit for what he's done outside the facility with his life. But at the same time, brother, he's still that mischievous coach that's going to do certain things to poke the bear. And at the same time, he's going to take another job while he's at one school because he thinks that school is not giving him enough. Point blank, that's it.
Yeah. Here. All right, prediction time, real quick. Does this end up, I don't know, like Nick Saban at LSU, or does this end up like Brian Kelly at LSU?
He is going to have every single resource he's needed, and even 10 times that at LSU. I think he will have some success. Don't forget here, there's something I wrote about yesterday. The playoff model is about to change, okay? We're about to see more than 12 teams in the playoff. So just about if you're in the top 25, you're going to make the playoff. That's how it's going to go. So we can't judge somebody for making the playoff anymore. If Lane Kiffin comes out next year and loses 3 games, his ass will be on the hot seat, just like every other coach in college football. He's going to get some time. We all know that. It's going to be 3-4 years. at the end of the day, I think he ends up I think if me and you are talking 4 years from now, I'm not trying to give you a runaround answer here. I think in 4 years, Lane Kiffin won't be the head coach at LSU. I don't.
Interesting. Yeah, that's fair. Hey, last thing. I'm reading your tweet here. Lane Kiffin comes out with a statement saying players want him to coach, but Lane Kiffin was not at the team meeting. Walk me through how that gets solved either way.
Lane Kiffin, so this is what he didn't put in his tweet. Lane Kiffin, this is according to multiple sources, Lane Kiffin met with a bunch of players on Sunday morning. He met with the leadership council. You know about these leadership councils. He was in his office. He wasn't going anywhere. If he wanted to talk with players, he could have talked with players. Was he allowed at the team meeting? No, but you usually don't allow the coach that has spurned you to be around the team. You don't want to give them any kind of promotional work to say, hey, by the way, come to LSU once everything's over type of thing. Like, so I get it. I understand it. I think that here's where Keith Carter came to that decision not to allow him. When he had we had the guys come in for the leadership meeting, they weren't feeding into his bullshit. Literally, they walked out of there. I've told by multiple sources that they were like, he needs to go. Like, it's over. Go. Bye. See you later. You haven't gone yet? That's how the players felt. So there were no reason for him to go stand in front of 115 guys and try to act like that he was an emotional mess about this. It's business, man. Yeah. Sorry. Got to go.
Oh, the Pavia family. You know, the little scrappy quarterbacks family at Vanderbilt. You know what I'm talking about? They're crazy. They be crazy. Mom's out there hoochieing it up. They had to be told during the Vanderbilt-Tennessee game, you can't sit on the rail. You can't be humping the rail, Mama Pavia. Don't be humping that rail, girlfriend. Well, it gets even better. When they are pimping out their mom to Theo Von, Diego's brother Javier is busy getting blackout drunk, getting arrested at his brother's game for the second time this year. What do you think? You're the Jokic's? What's wrong with you? Javier Pavia. Javi Pavi, 25 years old, was busted for public intox when he allegedly clashed with Neyland Stadium staffers at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, according to the Knox News. The university event staff accused Javi Pavi of repeatedly blocking fans around him with a large flag. Law enforcement had told Pavia to remove the flag, the outlet reported, citing a police report. He was extremely verbally combative with the event staff and myself, an arrest report obtained by the outlet said. Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia's brother arrested for public intox during a game, and this is not the first time. This is the second time. Good for Javi Pavi. Here he is. He's getting arrested at the Vanderbilt-Tennessee game. Nice. Good work, Javi. Represent, yo. Let's see him being escorted out of the building. There you go.
Pavia! Pavia!
I love it. Yeah, man, we're just trying to have fun. That's all. Because, like most people in today's day and age under 25, it's all about him. I mean, it doesn't matter that people are behind him and he's got a flag. It's my brother, man. Shut up and sit down. And take your mother with you. I mean, why is mommy hooching it up? Seriously, here's Javi Pavi pinned to cops' vehicles. Here he is. He's pinned to the vehicles here. Look at Javi Pavi. God bless him. Look at it. You go. Damn it. All right. Come on. Hey, my brother's a quarterback. I can do what I want. Yeah. My mom's humping a pole over there in the stands. I'm just waving a flag. What? All right. Javi Pavi had 16 shots of something nice. Treat him better. Now, throw his ass in jail and throw the mom in jail too. There you go. There you go. There's his brothers, these idiots. I'm shocked that this happens given the mother. Let's see. Says the brothers were arrested for public intox. And the dumbass on the right, he stepped in and tried to push an officer. Throw their ass in jail and throw mom in there too. I mean, let's take out the trash. What? They're just having fun. No, you don't push a cop. And you know what? You got a big flag. Okay. How about people around you are trying to watch a damn football game? Quit being a village idiot. Nah, throw their ass in jail. Nope. Throw them. Throw them. This is awesome. Diego Pavia's brother is arrested at Vanderbilt home opener. An affidavit obtained by Fox Nashville says police were trying to arrest Javier for public intox when Roll stepped in and pushed the officer. Man, hey, this guy Diego's pretty good. I mean, he is, but his brothers are idiots. His family's own dumbass behavior. It's a classic example of underachieving family members leeching onto the success of others. See Jackson Mahomes. Hell, see Patrick Mahomes' dad. They can't handle it. Crazy family members are part of the landscape. If I am Vanderbilt, and I'm not doing this with Diego, I'm not doing this with the coach, I'm doing this with the administration. Somebody in that family needs to be told we've had enough. We've had enough. We're not making special arrangements for you. You're going to act right. And if you cannot act right, we are going to remove you. And if your son doesn't want to play, then we won't remove you because players have all the power and you can do whatever the hell you want. So tell your son Diego he has all the power in here. This is what Vanderbilt's actually going to do. They're going to try to talk tough, but hey, by the way, a lot riding on this. If Diego's pissed, let us know, and we'll make sure your mom and your brother get all the booze they want, get a suite, get to eat, and, have Madonna come in and perform for them. That's the way sports really works. I could lie to you and act like anybody's going to be tough on the Pavia family. They're not. No. Hey, you guys can't be doing that, by the way. Hey, tell mom we'll get her a suite. We'll get her a pole. We'll get her some glitter. And you two idiots, I tell you what, we'll have a food for you and all the booze you could drink, okay? Just don't piss off Diego, all right? Break on 3. 1, 2, 3, break. That's the real world. What's wrong with you? Hey, you enjoying the show? Why wouldn't you be? Of course you are. Make sure you head on over to youtube.com/@ Don't At Me with Dan Dakich to like, comment, and, of course, subscribe. That way you will never, ever, ever miss any of our great content. There's that handsome face, and there it is right there. Don't At Me with Dan Dakich. By the way, Friday, we're going to be at Kilroy's, downtown Indy. Our whole show, starting at 4:30, 5 o'clock. Urban Meyer's going to join us. How about them apples? That'll be fun on Friday. Join us. Gentlemen, it is Monday. We recap the weekend with Stock Up and Stock Down. Stock Up, baby. IU. Undefeated regular season. That's the first time, I think, in the history. I don't know about the 40s or 50s, and I don't care about them. But damn, you're talking about the nation's losingest program. At one point, now I think we've passed Northwestern over these last 2 years, having an undefeated season. In 2 years, the head coach of Indiana University men's football, as opposed to women's football, has lost 2 games. One on the road at Ohio State, the national champion, and the other on the road to Notre Dame, the national runner-up. I want you to think about that for a second. And nobody in this country, not one single team in this country, has beaten their conference opponents by bigger margins than Indiana has. And if you're going to go by resume, Indiana's the number 1 team in the country. If you're going to go by eye test, how they played against their opponents. And I'm not talking about their preseason opponents. I mean, look, given Texas, Ohio State playing, if Indiana had played Texas, maybe they're not. I don't know, but I know they played who they played in their conference. And the Big Ten's supposed to be a really good conference. It's not. They got to get rid of a bunch of old coaches. But the truth of the matter is Indiana beat their opponents in conference worse than any other school in America. Every week. Number 9 team in the country came in, Illinois. Indiana hung 63 on them. The rivalry game, the old Oaken Bucket. Indiana could have scored 172 against them. Honest to God. Nobody has that better resume in terms of whooping that ass in conference than Indiana. And I'm glad Trey said it. Indiana loses the game to Ohio State. If they do, they're still in the top 4, and I ain't mad about it. Oh, I got to tell you, Michigan basketball is damn good. And Dusty May is the Kurt Signetti of college basketball. He came from a lower level. I get it's not the same. No kidding. But anyway, Dusty came from Florida Atlantic where he did magical things, including a Final Four. And next thing you know, he's got Michigan as the best team in America. You don't beat Gonzaga, this old Gonzaga team, by 40. They've beaten everybody by 40 plus. And when I watched that team the other day, it hit me. This is the best Big Ten team I have seen in a long time, including Purdue's run with the big guy Edey. I have no idea how it's going to end. You know, girlfriends, money, give me the ball. It all comes into play during the length of a college basketball season. And it is a long, long, long season. But that's the best basketball team I've seen in a long time. And people say, well, how long? Give me some comparisons. I honestly don't know. I mean, the Big Ten has not had a team like this since, I can't even tell you. I mean, I'll go back to, 2000 national champions? I don't know. That's the last time the Big Ten has won a national championship, but this is an incredibly dominant team. This team does not mess around. You beat Gonzaga, that program, by 40 on a neutral court? Are you kidding me? That's unbelievable. Incredible. Wow. Illinois State, the Redbirds, my son's squad, they've won their last 2 tournaments. That's hard to do. End of the year last year, they won a national tournament, the CBI. This year, they went down to the Wide World of Sports and beat 25 win from last year and NCAA tournament teams to win the title over there in Disney. I forgot for just a second. And frankly, I forgot who the hell they beat. But that team was damn good that they beat. I know Richmond was playing. I know Illinois State was playing. I'm telling you, old age is creeping in on my sorry ass because I watched the game, couldn't wait to get ready for the game, and then didn't realize that the team Illinois State beat had been in the tournament last year and had everybody back. And I still can't remember their name. It was not Wofford, but it was one of those teams, and I watched every second. And I got to look it up because I want to know because I am officially losing my mind. Furman. Jeez. Furman came within 2 or 3 in the NCAA tournament last year of Michigan in the opening round, and Illinois State went and busted that ass. That's right. And we point at Illinois State. That's what we do. So proud of my son, so proud of Ryan Peden, so proud of the program. It's just fun to watch. I don't care whether you like it or not. Hey, this is weird. Stock down. I got to get into this for just a second. What's going on with Timmy Walls? I mean, Tim Walls is being called out by his own peeps. Tim Walls is being accused of massive, massive, massive fraud in his operation. I mean, massive fraud. What's going on with that? Will somebody tell me? I mean, when you stifle whistleblowers, when people come out and say, yo, Timmy, you're dirty as hell. It is all projection. Minnesota social service workers say Tim Walls is 100% responsible for massive fraud of $1 billion. Now think about that for a second. Over $1 billion in taxpayer money was fleeced by dozens of scammers in Minnesota's Feeding Our Future fraud scandal, the largest known COVID-19 fraudcast. This is what these folks, social service workers, had to say on Twitter. From their Twitter site, Tim Walls is 100% responsible for massive fraud in Minnesota. We let Tim Walls know of fraud early on, hoping for a partnership in stopping fraud, but no. We got the opposite response. I'm telling you, the gaslighting. Listen to this. Tim Walls systematically retaliated against whistleblowers using monitoring, threats, repression, and did his best to discredit fraud reports. Instead of partnership, we got the full weight of retaliation. It's scary, isolating, and left us wondering, who can we turn to? Last week, the Justice Department prosecuted the 78th defender. 59 people have been convicted thus far. I'm telling you, these people, these Democrats, how can you not see it? How can you possibly not see the gaslighting that goes on with this? It's astounding to me that people are so dumb. Stock down to the Colts. We got injury. We got Daniel Jones with a fibia. We got Sauce Gardner in a boot. It ain't good. No, we gave up 2 first-round draft choices for this guy, which I applaud. I don't care. But boy, oh boy, 8-2 turned into 8-4 real quick. And with 2 straight road games, one in Jacksonville where they do not play well and certainly don't win, and then one in Seattle, who many argue is one of the, if not the best team in the NFC. I'm telling you. And then they come home against the Niners. 8-2 can become 8-7 in a hurry. And then jobs are on the line, which they already are. This is interesting. Stock down, Sharon Moore, Bryce Underwood. Bryce Underwood looks terrible. Now, here's the deal with Sharon Moore. We call this in Indiana, or I call it, I don't know if anybody else does, the Mike Davis effect. Guy takes over a program that's been winning and winning big. Year or two, you get the residual effect from that guy taking over the program. You get the residual effect from the previous coach, in this case, Harbaugh. You get the residual effect. Hey, say whatever you want about Harbaugh, but his last year they won national championship, cheating all over the place. But, hey, they did what they did. And you get that effect for a year or two now, and then you see it. By the time Mike Davis, the interim coach who took over for Bob Knight 2 years later, went to the national championship game, 2 years after that, he wouldn't even come out of his house to go to a game. Now, we see it all the time. We're going to see it with this Pete Golding at Ole Miss. That place is going downhill. But anyway, I digress. First off, Sharon Moore looked completely lost before, during, and after that game, which was rare because he'd done a good job. And Bryce Underwood, hey, look, you're paying some rumor to be $10 million for that quarterback. He better get a lot better in the offseason. What he needs to do, first and foremost, is not be a superstar in his own mind. You need to do the grunt work. He ain't going to do it. We'll see what happens. Woke-a-dope. Here we are. Woke-a-dope, woke-a-woke-a-dope, woke-a-dope. President Trump pardons Turkey. Pardon immediately overturned by a federal judge. I don't care. I'm telling you right now, I don't give a damn what anybody says. Melania Trump is one of the hottest women in America, and every time she is in a picture, I gawk. Speaks 5 languages, nobody more beautiful than her. But hey, let's put Big Mike on the air. Get those arms toned up for Big Mike, a.k.a. Michelle Obama. Get out of here with all that. Melania Trump should be on the cover of every magazine ever. And whenever she's on in a picture, I don't look at the turkey, I don't look at Trump, I look at her. God bless you, Melania. Next! Golf of liberal tears. Man, how about those liberals? They will blame everybody else for their bullshit. The gaslighting's ridiculous. I love the Gulf of America. There we go. You keep on keeping on, Donald Trump. And look, we're going to have, I don't know. We're going to have all kind of problems when those tears swell up. Next thing you know, what that guy say, that idiot, Hank Johnson or whatever, about Guam, it's going to tip over if you step on it. Well, if enough liberal tears well up and it gets on the floor, it might just tip over, according to idiots. Next! I don't know what I was talking about there, but I liked it. Hank Johnson, is he the dumbest in the world? I make stupid people angry. You know what? We may need to make T-shirts of that. Don't at me. We make stupid people angry. That'd be pretty good. By the way, go to the OutKick shop right now, outkick.com/shop. We got some good things out there. Yeah. All right, last thing. Man, this Lane Kiffin thing, I want to give a salute. I talked about it earlier, Keith Carter, the athletic director. Now, I don't know how Keith Carter enabled this to happen from the get-go. But when you deal with a snake, you know what you're going to get eventually, and they got it. But I will give Keith Carter, the athletic director, very, very, very big-time kudos because, as I said to Trey, This thing looks smooth right now. You got the Golding guy in there, the defensive coordinator as the head coach with a longer-term contract. You got longer-term contracts for the assistants. You seemingly have the players staying. Nobody seems to be leaving. Coaches, other than Charlie Weiss's kid, and Charlie Weiss's kid's going to do, what Weiss's do. Follow the money. Nobody got paid more to do less than Charlie Weiss. Not his fault, others' fault. But good for Keith Carter. He had a catastrophe on his hand. By reading the situation and getting out ahead of it, you know what? He was able to put this in a position of, we look good right now. Whether we are or not, doesn't matter. We look good. Anybody that wants to blame anybody other than Lane Kiffin for this is insanity. I mean insanity. Let's not argue about it. He did what he did, period. He didn't have to leave. He didn't have to go. He didn't have to lie, cheat, and steal, but that's who Lane Kiffin is. The dude is soulless. But I think people like him because he wears a hoodie. So I wore a hoodie today. I can't put it on over my big fat head, but we wear a hoodie because we want media to like us. We want people to think we're cool. Lane Kiffin, I got 2 words for you. My ass. Hope you get your ass beaten. Hope you're out quicker than Brian Kelly at LSU. We'll see you tomorrow.